I'm about to describe your business, and I've never met you, but I guarantee that you have at least one of these 5 things. A report that nobody reads, approval process that's slowing everything down, data entry that happens twice, a meeting that could have been an email, and documentation that you create just in case, but it never gets used. These are the 5 most common electric belts in South African businesses, and I'm going to show you exactly how to spot them and then eliminate them. Let's go. My name is Arne van Zyl, and for the last 5 months I've been studying deep how businesses in South Africa is using AI. And I've noticed something fascinating. The same pattern shows up everywhere. Doesn't matter if you're a tech startup in Cape Town, a manufacturing company in Joburg, or professional services firm in Durban. The same 5 electric belts keeps appearing. Now, I haven't audited hundreds of businesses, and I'm being very transparent about that. But what I do have is 20 years of running businesses where I was drowning in exactly these patterns. Plus then the last 5 months where I was studying business operations, AI implementation, and system design. And here's what I've realized. These 5 electric belts are universal because they are symptoms of legacy thinking. They're systems designed in a world before real-time data, before AI, and before automation. And nobody's questioned whether they still make sense in today's world with all the tech that we have. So today I'm going to walk you through all 5. And I guarantee you that you are going to recognize at least one of them in your business. Let's start with the most common one. So electric belt 1 is the report that no one reads. And this is the most common electric belt that I've seen. And it shows up in almost every business. And here's what it looks like. So the pattern is someone, usually a manager or a team member, spends 3, 5, sometimes 8 hours creating a report. This could be a weekly status report, monthly sales summary, quarterly performance analysis, client progress update, or a team activity log, whatever. They pull data from multiple systems. They create beautiful charts and graphs, and then they write an executive summary and format it nicely. And then they send it to the stakeholders. And then nothing. No one asks questions, no one references it in their conversations, no one responds, and it just goes into a folder or an inbox and it just sits there and gathers dust. So why it exists? This report usually started years ago because someone needed visibility into something specific. A manager somewhere says, I need to know what's happening with sales. So someone naturally created a sales report. That made sense at the time. But now that manager can log into your CRM and see sales data at the click of a button. They can get alerts when deals are closed or when targets are missed. They don't need a monthly summary anymore. But the report continues because we've always done it. How to spot it in your business? Look at any report that you create regularly and ask yourself. 1, does anyone ever respond to this report? 2, has anyone ever made a decision based on the contents of this report? And 3, if I don't send it one time, would anyone notice? If the answer is no, no, and no, then you found your electric belt number 1, numero uno. So the redesign. Instead of a monthly report, create something like a real-time dashboard that anyone can access at any time. Set up alerts for when something actually needs attention and only have a conversation when there's actually something to discuss. The dashboard is just an example. Don't get hung up on the example. It's just a way to illustrate that there are better ways than just a static report that no one reads. The result, 5 to 8 hours every week completely eliminated. 0 AI used. Not optimized. Not sped up or automated. Completely eliminated. I bet you money that you actually have one of those in your business right now. So electric belt number 2, the approval bottleneck. This one drives people crazy. Here's the pattern. Someone does work, good work, thoughtful work, then it sits waiting for approval. It needs to go somewhere and someone needs to give it a thumbs up. Manager approval, senior level approval, sometimes multiple levels of approval. And what happens during the approval? Usually nothing substantive. A manager makes a few minor edits, changes some wording, maybe fixes a typo somewhere, and senior leaders generally just sign off without really looking at it, or at very most skims through it. And the approval chain just adds 2 or 3 days to the whole process, but rarely does it actually add any value. So why it exists? It comes from a good place. Someone at some point made a mistake and this approval process was set in motion to avoid those mistakes. A client got a document that wasn't quite right. So leadership said, from now on, we will check and double check your work. And it gets reviewed before it goes out. That made sense at the time. But What was meant to catch errors became a bottleneck in a whole process. Because 95%, honestly, of the time, it's just a rubber stamp of approval. The person that actually is doing the work, they already know what they're doing. They've been doing it for years. The approval is just theater. So, how to spot it in your business? Look at your approval processes and ask yourself, how often does the approver, the person that approves this process, actually make substantive changes? What would happen if something goes out without this approval? Probably nothing. And could the person doing the work be trusted to do it right? If the approver is technically just checking boxes 95% of the time, you have just found your electric belt number 2. So the redesign of this approval process bottleneck. Instead of requiring approval for everything, define clear criteria of what actually needs approval. It could be things like high stake decisions or legal risks or things like that. Things that really has a serious effect if done wrong. And let experienced team members send it without being approved by someone else. Implement something like spot checks. Review maybe 10% of what goes out just before it goes out instead of 100% of it. Do like a spot check here and there. You don't have to look at every single one. Just make sure it still keeps up to the standard. And if errors does happen, just address them as a learning moment, not to re-implement the whole approval process. The result? The work moves 3 times faster, the quality stays the same, and people feel trusted in the work that they do. I guarantee you have at least one approval step in your business that's purely there for theater and to make someone feel good about themselves. So electric belt number 3, the data entry loop or data entry loop, whatever you want to call it. This is the one that makes me shake my head because it's so obviously wasteful and yet it happens everywhere. Here's what it looks like. Information gets entered into one system, then someone manually copies that information into another system, and sometimes 3 or 4 systems. Example, client information entered into a CRM, then manually entered into invoicing system, and then into a project management tool. The other one is sales data into a spreadsheet, then manually transferred to accounting system, and then into a reporting dashboard. Or this is one that I found in restaurants all the time. Employee hours in a tracking app, then it's manually entered into payroll and then into a project costing spreadsheet. Sometimes there's even more steps than that. The same information entered multiple times by humans. So why it exists? This one is generally a technology problem disguised as a process. Years ago, these systems weren't made to actually talk to each other. So someone manually transferred data from the one to the other one. And that manual process just never stopped. And even now, even though most systems can integrate or you can use simple automation processes like Zapier or N8N, or data can flow automatically from one to the other, or you could use one system instead of 3, no one has yet questioned this whole process or switched to a more efficient system. So how to spot it? You ask yourself, do I enter the same information in multiple places? Do I copy and paste information between systems regularly? And do I create reports from pulling data from multiple sources and then compiling them into one? If yes, you found your electric belt number 3. So the redesign for this one. Instead of manual entry, integrate your systems with things like Make or Zapier or N8N. These platforms are so user-friendly and they just connect one to the other. You don't have to physically move it from one to the other and copy, paste or whatever. They just do it automatically. Or just consolidate everything into one specific system. You don't actually need 3, for instance. Or you use AI to extract certain information and then transfer it to somewhere else automatically. So as an example, instead of manually copying client information from a CRM to invoicing, your CRM software and accounting software syncs automatically. When a client is added to a CRM, they automatically appear in invoicing. 0 manual entry, 0 copy and paste, and I swear it saves you 20 minutes just from that. The result that you have is 2 to 5 hours saved weekly with 0 errors. You know, every time you have to manually transfer something, there's always that gap that something can go wrong. You can miss out a letter, you can do whatever, copy and paste wrong or whatever. But with automatic transfer, 0 errors. This is low-hanging fruit. If you have this one, if you've identified this in your business, pick this one first and fix it this week. Then electric belt Numero 4, the status meeting ritual. Ooh, this one's going to sting. There's always that one person that loves their meetings. And because I know you have this one, here's the pattern. Every Monday, 9 a.m. team meeting, or Friday, 3 p.m. status update before the weekend. It's on the calendar, it repeats weekly, no one questions it. So what happens in the meeting? Everyone goes around and says what they're working on. I'm working on project A, no blockers, everything's going fine. I'm working on project B, everything is also fine, going well. I'm working on project C, yep, all good. 45 minutes later, the meeting ends. No decisions made, no problem solved, no collaboration started. Just status updates. That could have been an email. Why it exists. This one usually starts with good intentions. A manager wants visibility, or a team wants to stay coordinated, or someone read a book that said weekly team meetings build culture and team building, bonding, whatever. And sometimes these meetings are valuable. Don't throw the meetings out just yet. When there's actual discussion, when there's actual collaboration happening, when decisions are truly made, then these meetings become valuable. But most status meetings, they're just a ritual. Everyone just shows up because it's on the calendar, not because it's necessary. So how to spot it? Look at your recurring meetings and ask, could this information be shared asynchronously? Slack, email, a dashboard. And then 2, are we making decisions or are we just sharing updates? And then 3, if we cancel this meeting once, would anything bad happen? Would anything happen for that matter? If the answer to number 3 is probably not, then you've just found your electric belt number 4. So the redesign for this one. Instead of weekly meetings, you give async status updates. Everyone posts a 2-minute video or writes a brief update. Real-time dashboards showing project status, and meetings only when decisions need to be made or actual problems need to be solved. There's many software that combines all of those. So as an example, instead of a 45-minute Monday morning meeting, on Friday afternoon, everyone records like a 2-minute Loom video, which is free, sharing their week, what they've done, and then next week's priorities. And then the team watches it in their own time. If someone needs help or wants to discuss something specific, they schedule a separate focused meeting. And the result of something as simple as that is 45 minutes a week eliminated. That equals to 39 hours per person per year. Imagine what you can achieve in those hours other than just sitting in a meeting listening to status updates. For a team of 5, that's 195 hours per year spent on meetings that shouldn't have actually existed. And you have at least one of these. I almost can guarantee it. So electric belt number 5, and this one is sneaky. This is the sneakiest one because it feels responsible. Here's what it looks like. You create documentation just in case someone needs it. Meeting notes that gets filed but never referenced. Process documentation that gets written down but never read. Decision logs that gets maintained but never consulted. Email trails that you keep just for the record but you never look at them again. You spend time creating it. You spend time organizing it. You spend time maintaining it and it never gets used. So why this exists? This one comes from fear. Fear that you'll forget something important. Fear that someone will ask you, why did we decide this? And you won't remember where this decision comes from. And fear that you'll need to prove something at some point down the line. So you document everything, just for in case. But here's the reality. Most of that documentation never gets referenced. When you actually need information, you either remember it, ask someone, or figure it out in 5 minutes. The just-in-case documentation just sits there. It never gets used. All it does is use up time to get created and maintained. So how to spot it? Look at what you're documenting in your business and ask, have I ever gone back and referenced this? Would anything bad happen if it didn't exist? And am I creating this because someone asked me to or because I think it should exist? If you're documenting just in case and that case never comes, you have just found your 5th electric belt. So the redesign on this one. Instead of documenting everything, document only what is referenced. Measure this. Look at what people actually look at during their processes. Use AI to capture and search information. Record meetings, AI summarizes it and makes it searchable. Trust that if you actually need it, that you can recreate it quickly. So as an example for this one, instead of detailed meeting notes for every meeting, record the meeting with like Teams or Zoom or whatever you guys use. AI creates a searchable transcript. And if you ever need to know, like, what did we decide on X, you just search the transcript. There's no manual note taking needed. The result is 1 to 3 hours per week completely eliminated. And the information is actually more accessible, not less. Stop creating documentation that no one, including yourself, will never read. Alright, so those are the 5 most common electric belts. The report that no one reads, the approval bottleneck, the data entry loop, the status meeting ritual, and the just in case documentation. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh no, I've got all 5, don't panic. Everyone has these. Most places do. They accumulate over time as businesses grow and adapt and add something new, something goes wrong, and these processes gets put into place. The problem isn't that you have them. The problem is that no one's questioning whether they should still exist or not, and whether they even still make sense. Here's what I want you to do for this week. Step 1, identify. Go through your whole week and identify which one of these 5 you have. Write them down. Just the awareness itself is very powerful. Step 2 is quantify. For each one, calculate. How much time does this consume per week? Multiply it by 52 to see the annual cost, and ask, what can I do with that time instead? Seeing the numbers is sometimes a complete eye-opener. Just knowing how much time a year gets spent on it, it makes you think twice about, is it really necessary for me to waste that much hours a year on something that's unnecessary? It makes it quite visceral in your face. And then step 3, pick one to eliminate. Don't try and fix all 5 at once. Just pick the easiest one, the one that you've got the most control over, and just stop doing it. It's easy as that. See what happens. And I'm willing to bet nothing will happen. No one notices, the work continues, the business doesn't crumble, the world doesn't end, and you just reclaimed however many hours per week. And then step 4, move on to the next one. Once you've proven to yourself that elimination works, move on to your next electric belt. Within a month or 2, you can eliminate all 5. And by doing that, you can reclaim 10, 15, up to 20 hours per week. Not by working faster, not by being more productive, but simply questioning what needs to exist at all. No AI thrown into anything. And this is what I want people to understand. There's a lot of time you're trying to fix your broken processes with AI, but AI is not the end-all answer. A lot of times just cutting out simple things will save you hours every week. Look, I spent about 20 years running businesses that had all 5 of them. I created reports that no one read. I had approval processes that was pure theater. And too many times I entered data into separate systems all the time. I mean, stock takes, staff hours, it's ridiculous. I sat in weekly status meetings, and this is a hotel thing. I sat in weekly status meetings that achieved nothing. And I documented a lot of things just for in case. And I thought to myself, this is just how business works. This is the system. But it's not. Not anymore, at least. These things only exist because no one has questioned them. And in the age of AI, the time of real-time information and automated systems, they're relics. They don't need to exist. They're electric belts. So I've created a tool that helps you identify all 5 of these in your business. It's called the Electric Belt Assessment. It walks you through each of these 5 patterns and helps you spot them in your operations. It's free, and the link is in the description. Download it. Spend 20 minutes this week with it. You'll find at least 3 of these 5. I can almost guarantee it. And if you want help, if you want to walk through this with someone that's not as close to the business as you are, that's what my AI Power Hour is for. 60 minutes, we go through it together. We find your electric belts. That link is also below. But honestly, just being aware of these 5 patterns will change the way you look at your business. Because once you start asking, do they need to exist? You will start realizing how much time you spend on stuff that doesn't even matter. If this video helped you discover some electric belts in your business, hit the subscribe button. I'm publishing videos every week on how to stop wasting time on unnecessary work and prepare for the AI era. Wednesday, I'm releasing the 5 AI prompts that every business owner needs. Practical prompts that you can use immediately. And later this week, I'm doing something different, talking to parents about how teens use AI with electric belt thinking. This one is going to be eye-opening if you have kids. Thanks for watching. Now go find your 5 electric belts. I'll see you on Wednesday.